we're now going to get into a really interesting use for Midjourney. One of those uses is product photography and kind of generating your own stock imagery from scratch. In the past, when you want, let's say, a photo of a laptop in a living room, for example, you would have to go online, find it, Google it, search it up, and find it online and either download it or purchase it. And these days, with tools like Midjourney, there's no need to do that. You can literally create what you want from scratch, as you're seeing in these lessons. So we're gonna hop into that. We're also gonna hop into ideation and making mock-ups, not that are gonna be your final product that are client ready to be seen and viewed, but really for quickly getting ideas off the ground and sharing with your team in a fast and efficient manner the ideas that are living inside your mind. You can quickly get those out and get them as images that are viewable and shareable. So let's get into this process. What I want to start by showing you is this prompt relating to a mock photo shoot of a laptop. So our prompt is product photography. That's telling Midjourney the style, look, and feel that I want it to resemble. I want this prompt and this image to resemble the professional look and feel of product photo shoots. And then we get to our subject of our image, which is of a laptop. And then we get to our location of our image, which is in a modern looking living room. Now we can go more into detail on how we want the lighting to be, which 3-point cinematic lighting is industry standard for really the best lighting setup for your subject. And then we can even take it a step further by telling Midjourney the exact kind of lens we want to shoot with. Because of my background in the filmmaking space, I know that a 50mm lens is going to create a really nice sharp image with a shallow depth of field, which is going to be great for this specific type of product shoot. So let's look at what our output was. And like I mentioned, these are all clean, crisp, great images that you would find on a stock footage website, but we're creating it from scratch and we can do whatever we want. We can iterate it and remix it. In this situation, let's go ahead and upscale our second top right image. Now, here's what the full res looks like. I could download this, put it in Photoshop, add my own changes to it, or continue to reiterate it in Midjourney. But let's say for this example that I want to come up with something creative and new that maybe I'm having a blockage creatively on thinking for a specific project where I want to find a new way to envision a laptop keyboard. So what I can do is vary just a specific part of the image like we've done in previous lessons. So I would click vary and I would highlight just the part of the image that we want to edit, and I can use a prompt like modern glowing keyboard lighting design. Now I'm going to hit submit, and Midjourney is going to take my prompt and not necessarily create a final product, but there are some things in here I don't think I've ever seen on a current product. There's a vertical LED style on this top right image. There's an LED bar actually at the base of the screen on this top left image, where I've only seen an LED screen at the top of the keyboard in previous designs. So this is not, like I mentioned, for showing this to clients, but this is something where you can see things in new and unique ways. This almost involves a keyboard piano style design, which, is that a good idea or a bad idea? I'm not really sure, but what I do know is that this is a great way to loosen up what you think is possible and not possible and see things in a new light that you haven't seen before. So with this theme of reiterating, getting ideas off the ground quickly, and very efficiently brainstorming ideas in a visual manner, let's now move on to something like a website mockup. So our prompt here is a technology website landing page. We want an aesthetically pleasing layout. We want a professional feel, and we want something with a pop of red color. So we're giving the same parameters as we did in our previous product design, but now we're doing it for a completely different medium. None of this is going to look like a photo shoot. This is actually going to look like what would live on your actual computer screen if you were viewing someone's potential website, which is pretty cool to see that Midjourney isn't just confined to photography. Anything that's visual, it's very likely been trained on. So this is a great thing to get off the ground. I can refine this and make changes, send it to my team, and then we can start workshopping ideas and start building things and refining things. So if we move down to our next style prompt, we changed it slightly. We want a website landing page for computers, TVs, and phones, so we're more specific on a potential product, but we still want the same stylizing of the aesthetic layout, professional, and a pop of red. So we've kept our same stylizing, but we're getting industry specific for something like an example electronics company where we have the potential products that they may have. So with this ability to really fine tune your prompt and develop product specific pages like this, it really opens up the gateway to a whole new level of creativity and brainstorming. So let's go down to our next prompt of a website landing page for the same thing, computers, TVs, and phones, but we changed our stylizing. Now we want holographic elements and an immersive feel versus a professional and aesthetic layout that has a pop of red. So we're still getting a similar landing page on the top left, but we're also now getting interesting mock-up styles with a completely different brand identity. So, for example, if a client hires you to put together a mock-up of, what their potential branding could be, what their website could look like, how their media assets should look, you can start from scratch and go through that process because, hey, that's how we've done it for however many years. Or you can let Midjourney do the heavy lifting from the beginning so that you're not spending time in writer's block, going back and forth on ideas and not really making progress. And you can just, boom, make that instantaneous beginning step. And then now your creativity is more well spent on the refining process versus using all your energy at the very beginning just to get things started. And lastly, what if you want to reimagine your own at-home office? What if you want to reimagine how technology can look in the next 5 years? What if you really just want to go down a rabbit hole of open-mindedness and creativity? Let's take a look at our prompt. So we have a modern multi-screen computer combined with a tablet on a desk. We want a bright, warm, and inviting room, so we're giving it some context of how we want it to feel. We want immersive technology, holographic, and for it to be as photorealistic as possible. Midjourney does a really interesting job of changing the dimensionality of objects that are in our modern day lives and remixing things in a way that it just sees things differently. And what I've personally found from this is that it opens up new areas of possibility and creativity. This kind of glass, see-through, almost keyboard but flat screen design, I've never seen that. And when I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. It's almost like an iPad, but it's see-through. And that sends my mind on a whole new brainstorming direction. When I see this kind of iPad dimension, but it's slightly bigger and it's vertical and it's set up as an actual external monitor, I'm like, that's interesting. I've never seen dimensions like that. Interesting. Would that be good for having your stocks or whatever investment accounts are on that kind of monitor? Like, what would the value of that bring? So it opens up a whole nother direction to go down. And then this keyboard here has got a really interesting large touch bar, similar to what's on a MacBook Pro, but it's a lot larger. It looks like you can click on icons and drag things around, and that's not anything that I've ever seen either. So I can get ideas for a new way to arrange my home studio for my personal life, or I can come up with brand new product designs and just a fundamentally different way of looking at our current products that Midjourney is going to see it through a different lens as our human mind would. And that offers brand new areas for our creativity to build on top of. So with all these unique functionalities of Midjourney, the cool takeaway is that you can use it to create content for the projects that you're working on, but then you can also use it to create new content for yourself and the teams that you're working with for ideation, for a new way of seeing things in a fresh way that maybe you haven't seen before. And all of that can lead to breakthroughs and innovation on an entirely new scale.